The Eurovision Song Contest. You've likely heard of it in one way or another. Every year, the majority of European nations and a few other whack-job countries get together for a weekend and pretend that politics just isn't a thing. At the time of writing, the last Eurovision Song Contest was in 2023, when Australia sent the greatest piece of music to ever grace the contest, but the voters at home decided their spellbinding synth metal number was just too good and decided to let Sweden win to make it fair.
Cross my heart till the sky turns red in the sunrise. Promise me it's gonna be alright.
The general opinion of Eurovision across the continent tends to range from general fandom to absolute hostility. On the one hand, many see it as a fun yearly event, and a break from the constant turbulence of modern European politics. On the other hand, many see it as an absolute embarrassment to Europe, and perhaps an embarrassment to the whole world of music. But through all of this, the most common stance I see on the ESC is that of unknowing. Why is it a thing? Why 12 points and not 10? Why is Australia even involved at all? What's that little jingle that plays at the beginning? There's so many that don't understand how the contest works, or why the contest is even a thing. And there's even more that just aren't aware that any of this is happening at all. Let's go on a journey through the history of Europe's strangest international affair. February 1950. Following the end of the Second World War, the face of almost every single European country had been left completely scarred. Even those who hadn't seen on-the-ground combat were left flattened and bankrupt. Except Switzerland. Switzerland had played their cards right throughout the war and had come out as the safest and richest nation in Europe. Though, with the rising order of laissez-faire global trade, what good is being a rich country if your neighbours are all poor and still in the process of rebuilding? Well, the Swiss couldn't exactly fix that. But they had an idea. Since the world had reached an uneasy peace following the defeat of the Germans, commercial radio broadcasting had become commonplace again, and commercial television was on the horizon. As such, they decided that nobody would be better at the job of pioneering continental broadcasting than themselves. So, with the help of our old friends the BBC, they established the European Broadcasting Union, thus creating the greatest joint British-Swiss effort in the history until the creation of Pingu in 1986. They developed their own unified telecom network, which they lovingly called Eurovision. You can tell the BBC had their hands deep in the project, because while the service wasn't quite finished until 1954, they went and used it anyway to broadcast what else other than the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II herself across the continent. At first, the EBU was rather expensive to operate, especially in post-war Europe. Trying to broadcast everywhere in Europe and ever so slightly beyond got a bit expensive for our combined British-Swiss friends. They needed a regularly scheduled program that they could broadcast consistently, with a consistent format and one that would be appealing across the entire European continent. It was then that a delegate from the Italian public broadcaster, the RAI, proposed a novel idea. Italy, like many countries, had its own national song contest, bringing together the brightest and best musicians from across a recovering post-war Italy. So, he thought, why not do the same across the whole continent? The EBU decided to go ahead with this idea, and so, in 1956, the first of what the EBU would call Le Grand Prix Eurovision de la Chanson Européenne would be hosted in Lugano, Switzerland. They were joined that year by France, Belgium, West Germany, Italy, Luxembourg and the Netherlands, but curiously not the United Kingdom, whose BBC were the ones propping up the whole thing. You see, at the time, the UK were pretty content with their own music festival for that year, and just didn't bother showing up. Thankfully, for the good of all Anglophones everywhere, bar a few weird patches, the UK showed up the following year and have been a mainstay ever since. They were also joined that year by a recently reunified Austria and a rather confident plucky Denmark. This was then followed by Sweden the following year, and Monaco the year after. The 60s would see sensible entrants like Norway, Finland, Portugal and Eurovision darling Ireland enter, who until 2023 was the most successful entrant in the content's history, with 7 victories to its name. The 70s and 80s, on the other hand, would see less sensible entrants, like notably non-European Morocco and, Israel. And the 90s and 2000s were mostly just the EBU mopping up all of the post-communist states in Eastern Europe. The 2010s, though, would see only one entry, perhaps the least sensible, least European of them all. Australia. Australia's inclusion in 2015 was just seen as a bit of fun to commemorate the contest's 60th anniversary at the time, but everybody had so much fun with it, and Australia are just so cool, that they were just kind of allowed to stick around, perhaps giving me the only time my love for progressive rock and interest in geopolitics will ever intertwine. For all its fun and silliness, Eurovision is no joke behind the scenes. Behind all the bright lights and stage effects of the song contest is a massive dose of Swiss efficiency. To fully grasp just how much work goes into each and every song contest, let's go through the process of making our own fantasy contest. It's May 20XX. The night has passed, the televotes have come in, and the jury has decided. The winner of this year's song contest is... Monaco. Huh. That'll be interesting. Right, well, it's up to the good people of the city of Monte Carlo to pick out a good venue for all the contestants to... Yeah, Monaco isn't going to be hosting. Okay then, well, the BBC's stepping in to host instead. The UK it is. Fast forward 2 months. It's time for the cities to bid for... Whoa, that's a lot of cities. It looks like we'll have to take a look at each and every one to see if their venues are adequate enough for the contest. After all, it's not 1982 anymore. Not just anybody can host the contest. A host city must have a venue with a capacity of at least 10,000, a press centre included or nearby, good access to accommodation, and easy access to an international airport. Let's see. Too small, maybe. Anywhere but you, too remote, maybe. Wait, weren't we just here? We just did that one. Maybe, I don't know. Well, of course. Do I have to long list this place? Are you kidding me? Fast forward a month. It's confirmed. 7 cities have made the long list. Now we just have to spend the next month picking out between them. Let's see. Well, obviously Leeds and... Wait, why did you circle Sheffield? We're not... One moment, please. Right, yeah, sorry about that. It appears that the Sheffield Arena, yes, that Sheffield Arena, will be preoccupied with other events at the time of the contest, and won't be available. How unfortunate. Anyway, that leaves us with our winning host city, Leeds. With a city selected, an obvious venue selected, the city council can begin setting up things like security for the big week. As for us at our imaginary EBU, we need to get in touch with every hotel company we can, and start selling exorbitantly priced tickets. That's right, £380 to willingly travel to Leeds, and that, my friends, is exactly what I like to see. God bless. Fast forward again, Happy New Year! Our friends over in Sweden are getting ready for this year's selection contest, with similar events happening in the rest of the Nordic world, as well as our friends in Ireland, Austria, Ukraine, and quite a few others. Other countries, like our own United Kingdom, are a little more hands-on with picking their candidates, because only the BBC can be trusted to pick the biggest slop imaginable. Nonetheless, all of our lovely contestants are going to need accommodation, which is what we've provided plenty of. Thank you, hotel companies. As we approach the big day, we ramp up production and advertising, reminding everybody that this thing that happens the same time every year is indeed happening this year. Now, speaking of the music, we should probably talk about that actually. Over the years, the contest has seen just about every kind of music you could possibly imagine, and for good reason. It's the one chance that every European nation gets every year to showcase its talent, culture, diversity, and creativity. Every song needs to represent their country the best way it can, while remaining distinct, so it's natural for many of the songs that get thrown out there to be at least some degree of unorthodox. For some countries, this eccentricity is performed by showcasing traditional dress, vocal styles, instruments, or lyrics that are specific to your country, or at the very least, something your country is famous for. Sometimes, some countries just love to throw something fun or silly out there instead, which is where you get many of those songs that Eurovision is known for. In 2006, the Finns sent a troupe of monster metalers to blow the continent away with their self-proclaimed Rockalypse. Out of all the songs that I'll mention on this bit, they're the only ones that actually won. bringing the Eurovision crown to Helsinki the following year. This footage that you're seeing of them right now, that was taken by yours truly actually last year. Can't say I don't film on location, can you? In 2008, presumably in response to the collapsing economic order around them, Latvia sent out a platoon of trusty pirates of the sea to give them an edge on the high seas. Surprisingly, but also unsurprisingly, years down the line, the song would get covered by acclaimed Anchor Wanker's Ailstorm. Funny where the winds take you sometimes. Two years later, in 2010, Moldova sent their elusive Sunstroke project to perform in Oslo, a move that made a surprising splash. Some of you in the crowd might even recognise their saxophone player, famously described as epic by internet dwellers of the era. They came back in 2017 actually, and came third. Another one for you internet veterans out there. Well, not exactly silly per se, the Estonians clearly made a bit of a splash of their own with their 2011 entry Rockefeller Street, a song that at least some of you might recognise when sped up to 135% speed. Perhaps accompanied by a video of these two Chinese gentlemen playing a steamed Japanese game Osu. Being cringe truly is an international affair. In 2014, the French, in their infinite wisdom, sent out what I believe to be the single worst song of all time, Twin Twins' Moustache, a song that's only purpose is to teach budding GCSE French students a way to embellish themselves on the oral exam. J'ai pas dit ceci par expérience. Finally, perhaps my favourite of all of these, was Greece's 2013 entry, the ska-fueled, Lazy Town-esque song and dance about drinking your sorrows away on an island. Cosa Nostra's Alcohol is Free. The EBU themselves have even poked fun at this, when in 2016 they delivered the delightfully kitsch Love Love Peace Peace, a step-by-step guide to crafting the perfect Eurovision song, and an ode to the art of crafting one. It's absolutely worth a listen, even if just for the irony of it all. Newsflash, it's the finals, and the contestants are about to perform. But first, it's time to talk about the vote. The contest voting system is perhaps one of the most iconic parts of the contest, and one of its most confusing. The contest has used a lot of different voting systems over the years, so much that it's actually kind of comical just how much goes into it. In fact, the famed 12-point system that the contest is so famous for wasn't even introduced until 1980, though since then, it's been somewhat consistent. There's two important parts of the vote to keep track of, the jury and the televote. The jury is the easiest one to keep track of. In the beginning, the jury made up the entire vote share and were anonymous bodies selected by each country. When the time came to vote, the jury would come together and decide on their favourite songs, originally on a scale from 1 to 10. Although in 1980, to prevent any more ties and to add a bit of extra spice, an additional score was added for the jury's collective absolute favourite song, the elusive 12 points. Since then, it's remained mostly the same. The televote, on the other hand, is a bit trickier. It was introduced in 1997 and became unanimous in 1998, though its vote share compared to the juries has shifted a bit throughout the years. Nowadays, it's settled on 50-50, with the televote getting the same 8, 10, 12 point system as the jury. The role of the televote is to be the voice of the people, though unfortunately, the voice of the people is a voice easily swayed by the world outside the contest. The voter bias is almost infamous at this point in the contest, since the main rule of the televote is you can't vote for your own country. Many in Europe try to vote for the next best thing. The Nordics all vote for each other, Spain and Portugal, Russia and Belarus, and of course, the Greece vote, which you would have to wrangle out of Cyprus's cold, dead hands. Believe it or not, you can actually vote outside of Europe, although your vote will be worth a lot less, as your point share is shared with the literal rest of the world. It's a rough deal, but it is called Eurovision after all. That was a lot of information to take in, wasn't it? Yeah, I get it. But at the end of the day, why does this all matter? What does Europe gain from spending millions and millions of pounds, euros, krona, whatever the fluff, on crowding a city with 2 months to provide a venue for a multinational tournament of who can put on the campiest performance for all of Europe to watch? Amidst all of the shiny lights, the glitter and the bass synths, our favourite little contest serves as a celebration of everything culturally European. It's a chance for countries across the continent to transcend political feuds and come together for a week to share their unique musical traditions across the world. In the sappiest way possible, we're reminded that music can bring us all together. It's a testament to the fluidity and the playful nature of European pop culture, and at the end of the day, reminds us that through everything, we're all still European, even us seemingly stubborn island dwellers. Now then, let's sit back down, the finals are about to begin. Let's have a watch, shall we?